it's really incumbent upon the senior guys to pick up the things that they've learned from kids in the past and how we operate, how we approach practice, how we approach games, how we handle ourselves, and then demonstrate that throughout the course of their senior year, and then make sure that they're good role models for those younger kids so that the traditions that we've accumulated over time, our way of doing business, gets transmitted from group to group, from generation to generation, because they're the ones who ultimately influence other kids' behavior. I mean, we'd like to think as coaches that we're great motivators and have this ability to affect change over kids, but really most of these ways of doing business are transmitted from kid to kid. So we had a great group of captains this year. Jake Borchert, Sam Hilly, Alec Holcomb, and Alex Emanuelson were voted upon by their teammates a year ago to take this team, through 2015, and they really did a great job. We met frequently throughout January, February, March, April, just kind of talking about what kind of a team we wanted to be, what we wanted to accomplish, and those kids were sponges, and very frankly, by the end, it was pretty apparent to me that there wasn't too much need to keep meeting. These kids really got it, and they understood what we wanted to accomplish and what their role in that was going to be. And they really did a great job of leading our team. Now, that said, one of the really neat things about being a high school coach is then you also get the opportunity to see a few other seniors who, weren't necessarily captains, but also rise in their leadership and their desire and ability to affect others. I think of a couple of our offensive linemen, Joash Rockensack, Lucas Arndt in particular, really did a great job, and it's been well chronicled after the West game. We weren't real pleased with how our offensive line executed. We were tentative. We weren't going places 100 miles an hour. And Coach Wanya sat with those guys, and they went through film, and they really kind of did a heart-to-heart talk. And Rocky and Arndt and Brady Ryder and Eli Havelka, they really stepped up and took control of that line of scrimmage and developed some pride in winning that line of scrimmage. Lane Thesey really stepped up as a tight end, especially when Alec Holcomb got hurt. And, I couldn't be prouder of those guys for the change, the turning of the page that they made happen. I think of Blake Westfall on the defensive side of the ball. Blake, he's kind of erratic. His junior year wasn't always a kid that we could rely on. And, his senior year, the kid was just unbelievable, probably our most vocal leader. If kids weren't going hard in practice, he was the one who would say something. When our defense wasn't communicating in practice, wasn't talking to each other, pass ball calls, letting people know the ball was in the air, Blake was easily the most vocal player on our defense, and he made others better because he was willing to do that. A kid on our D-line, Austin Abbas, kind of a quiet kid, but was an impact maker as a junior, really stepped up and set the tone for, how things are going to operate on the defensive line, and just, really, really had an outstanding year. Another kid who was a bit erratic as a junior was Lance Ulrich, and Lance elevated this year as an outside linebacker. And he became just a huge playmaker for us. I think he and Holcomb maybe tied for the number of defensive stars, which are big plays. They were certainly within a star of each other, and Holcomb obviously was a very fine linebacker and a big playmaker, but Ulrich kind of came out of nowhere as a big playmaker for us. And, even guys like Andrew Peterson, a kid that was, sunk pretty deep in the depth chart, came out and had a super season at outside linebacker for us as well. And, it's just always fun to watch these guys and the progress that they make from their junior year to their senior year. And we've always said, you win with seniors. Those kids have to step up and kind of fill the void from the graduating class previous. They get how it's done. They understand what's necessary. Like you said earlier, they get the fact that the clock is ticking on them, and I think that provides a little bit more motivation to get out of bed in the summer, come up and lift, to get out to 7-on-7, and throw the ball around because they do realize that time is fleeting and it's getting away from them, and they really only have one more opportunity to to go out and accomplish their goals. And Sam Callan was a kid who was a depth player for us, both in the offensive and defensive lines, but very, very intelligent and a tremendously hard worker. And because of that, he really elevated himself into a defensive line spot. We had some injuries, and what Sam was able to do was learn all three of our defensive line positions, which have subtleties and nuances and different calls. And because of his great intelligence, he was able to be like our number one backup at all three D-line positions. And then when guys needed blows or we had an injury, Sam, became a starter for us, and also became a real nice run stopper, a great pass rusher for us, and another kid that just did a super job for us this year. We had a couple of seniors that just frankly didn't see the field very much, but were so important in our preparation. Nick Heisler and Riley Meir, immediately come to mind as guys who were always the first to step in scout team situations to help their buddies get better, to prepare for the game. They were always ready to go. They knew what we were trying to do offensively and defensively, but they also had a great desire and ability to help their teammates prepare as well. So, it was really a neat bunch of kids.